Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to another episode of Trudge Report. This is a recovery-based podcast, but don't worry, if you're not sober or you're not ready to be sober, we talk about plenty of other things, including sports, trending topics, and a good bit of nonsense. My name is Sean and I am your host. I'm joined by my good friends and fellow trudgers. Please remember to listen on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Videos will be posted each week so you can watch episodes on YouTube and Facebook. But as always, please be sure to download on your listening platforms. Remember to like and subscribe on all social media outlets with the handle @TrudgeReportPod. We are brought to you by Stella Mix Podcast Management and our wonderful producer and editor, Miss Janine Stella. Gentlemen, good evening. Happy recording Monday. As always, let's start with on my screen. Bill, I got you first on my screen. You're on mute. Tell the people what they want to hear, Bill.
Life is good, Sean. How are you doing?
I'm good, man.
Good to hear it, man.
Well,
working hard, staying busy, keeping the utilities flowing in the Treasure Coast community, hiking the trails, living.
I hear that
life.
infrastructure, Treasure Coast. The infrastructure in Treasure Coast is solid.
It was a little bit of a wordplay. If you know,
what
you
is
know.
infrastructure?
Well, that'd be structure infra. No, it'd be it's what you call your local utilities, your local, drainage, water main, sewer, all your different utilities.
It can also mean your bridges and your roads and all that.
It's all
stuff.
the things people don't think are existing until they have a problem with it, and then they quickly realize that it's a big problem if they don't have it.
So, AKA people will always need it.
Right.
And it'll always break and they'll always need someone to fix it, like
that's
Treasure
right.
Coast infrastructure.
Yep, that's right. Got it, Corey?
Do you do swales?
Hopefully not. That
Okay,
shit
I'm
sucks.
just wondering.
I mean, we can, but
I think you need like a cement guy for that.
No, that's not true. It's a
You
swale.
dig a hole, I'm pretty sure.
No, it's earthwork. It's
I
moving,
was thinking
it's
like,
like
the cement. Okay.
You're thinking like a culvert or
Yeah,
like
culvert.
yeah.
What's the difference between a
TCI, we
swale?
don't do swales, but we have done whales.
We don't do whales, but we do swales.
There you go. There you go. Flip it around.
There we go. Great promo, guys. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Send in your money, by the way. Your advertising. We'll send you an invoice.
All right. Appreciate it.
What else is going on, Bill? Anything?
That's it, man. It's hot as shit. We had a heat advisory.
You sent some pictures over the weekend. Where were you at this weekend?
Did a little hiking. I was up in Asheville, North Carolina. And just relaxing, man.
Greenville County.
Yeah, you know what? I quickly realized that it's imperative to relax and enjoy your time here, because when you're running like crazy, it's very important to make sure that you prioritize things like that to keep yourself grounded. So definitely worth it and definitely a great time.
Did you go to Pretty Place?
I drove right past the entrance. I went to the Overlook. Okay. Where there was that little tour shop and everything.
Sure.
Where they had the binocular thing on the end there. Yeah, because I was in a little bit of a pinch to get back, but I drove right past the gate. Right. I think I sent a picture in the thread there. Yeah. It felt great to be up there. It's a very majestic area. It's like, I don't know. It's God's country up there.
That and the memories that are attached to it for all of us definitely helps that.
We are
absolutely
such losers. We are such losers that we don't do that shit anymore.
I mean, dude, the fact that I could go up there and actually like Corey, like the time when I was up there was like, that shows you how special the area is.
Amazing.
I was way more likable back then. So I don't know.
Just on the mountain.
It's funny. Bill,
I think you're more likable now, by the way, but go ahead.
I don't know, man. But dude, you know how I know something's wrong with me?
Jury's out on that one, Bill.
Whenever somebody like you guys, whenever my friends send a picture of like you guys being somewhere, the first thing I think is, where the fuck is he now? And that's just not right. And that's exactly I was like, what the fuck?
Not, you're right. Like, it's not right, Corey.
And you know what? I think it's just because like nobody told me first, and I feel like left out. Like those three probably knew Bill was going up there,
We were
did
actually
not.
all up
Nobody-
there, all three of us.
Yeah, we were all up there. We were
See? And you guys
We did a
went to the
mountain
wedding.
retreat.
You guys went to the wedding last week. Like, what are you guys doing? Are you edging me out on a podcast? Like, what's going on? I feel all right. Sorry,
You know what I admire? Your transparency about your low key hate, like, or whatever that is. I have that as well. I mean, I think we all do. We all have a propensity to be like, even as well as you wish sometimes for somebody, like there still always can be a level of like, what
it
the
only
fuck?
takes a second and a half for me to be like, oh, cool, Bill's at fucking pretty place or whatever. I'm like, oh, that's nice. But at first,
But
I'm like,
genuinely
what they
think
do
you're
without me?
upset
What
you
they
didn't
do?
get an invite, which is a little weird. I never come across that in my mind, but
You should invite me on your vacations. Is what I'm getting at.
all right.
I'm
Next
going
week,
to Jersey in September.
We're-
You guys want to come?
No, absolutely not. Corey, how are you doing?
I'm good. I just made Bill's whole thing all about me, so I got nothing.
Corey, next weekend we're digging swales. Come on down.
Yeah. They're setting up some infrastructure. You can get invited to that.
Well, seriously, that is the name of that, right? Those ditches in the front lawn that
It's called a swale.
water
Yeah.
goes.
That
That's
is
swale.
Indeed, a
Yeah.
swale. Yes.
So it's a culvert.
Culvert is cement that usually it's under a driveway with the pipe passing through it. It's
At my
it's a
house.
part of a
Like at
system
my house,
for
Corey, on both sides of my driveway.
rainwater and runoff water collection, water management.
But that is also nicknamed a culvert as well. Like a lot of people call it a culvert, even though by all technical standards it is not.
Culvert, not to be mixed with Culver's, which makes a delicious burger.
And some nice cheese curds.
The mixer. What is it called? The
Yeah, the
The
mixer.
concrete
The
mixer.
concrete mixer, baby.
Which
Shout
is
out to
kind of the
Culver's.
same, so
Culver's, send your check now.
Yeah, dude. We're a lot of free advertising on this episode. Hell's going on?
You got Dave Matthews on, so I mean, he's better send a check as well.
Well, I just say that's the only thing I want to say.
I
That's
shouldn't
the
have brought him up, huh?
You shouldn't have.
Damn it.
No, dude. But it's
Historic weekend this weekend, for sure.
What?
With Saratoga, he put on a banger of a weekend.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. And it's
So
Yeah,
what makes it historic?
Corey, we were all there too, by the way. We didn't invite you, but we all three went to that as well.
Corey, you know I wasn't there.
Yeah.
You can take solace in that.
Bill really tried hard a couple years ago to get into that concert, and it just wasn't happening.
he left
was
like
not
3
happening.
songs in. 3 songs in, he was like, I gotta go.
One drop of rain, I was like, all right, we're out of here.
Well,
I think Sean told me yeah, show's back on. I was already on the
He was like, yeah, I just got off the exit in Stewart. I'm good.
oh, you left way before we got told to leave, I think.
Yeah.
And then when we did get
Greg and I
told to
didn't leave.
we refused to leave.
We refused.
But so why is it historic, real quick?
Oh, it was just it was a great couple of nights.
Oh, okay.
This great sets.
Set list. But what I was gonna say was it's the 2-year anniversary of when Carter Beauford gave technically my kids his drumsticks, but really me, and I kept them. Came up with my
that I
memories.
remember.
That was so exciting, and I have a video.
The
And
goofiest Corey face ever.
Is he a member of Dave Matthews?
He is the drummer.
Yeah.
Drummer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you have to do favors for him? What happened?
No, but I would have.
No, he
I don't
just
care.
had to dangle his kids in front of a moving bus.
Bill, he gave the drumsticks to Noah, not to Corey.
Oh,
Corey's just
okay.
claiming them.
I got you.
I'll send the video.
When each one of them leaves in their tour bus out of the venues, they're known for if you got little kids or something like that, sometimes they'll stop the bus and shake hands or whatever. And so Corey dangled his son out in front of the traffic and got him to stop their bus.
I still can't believe those guys are famous.
Oh,
Very famous. Bill. They're very famous. Good stuff. All right, Greg, what's up, buddy?
Living the dream, man. Kind of back to reality after 2 pretty awesome weekends, 4th of July, and then the wedding and traveling right afterwards. So yeah, back to work, back to being busy. We did host a luau this weekend, which was pretty sweet. Everybody came decked out.
You and Lauren did?
Yeah. Well, it's her family thing. They kind of host it every year, but we hosted it here.
Was it a luau for literature from District 6?
No,
I don't know.
no.
I don't
It
know
was
what you're referring
Who's
to.
that?
That's
It was a luau
Part of
for kids. Cool, because celebrating the kid's birthday is kind of like a combined party or whatever. It was fun. We made a lot of food, spent a lot of money on a lot of food, cooked a lot of food on the grill, and yeah. But
So you had a luau in Ohio?
oh yeah.
Like fire? Boy, what are we talking here? Campfire?
No, we didn't roast a pig or anything like
Pineapples?
that. It was oh yeah. I grilled some pineapple yesterday.
Okay.
It was delicious.
Beautiful.
So, yeah, good.
It's probably good.
I did not have a coconut bra and a grass skirt, unfortunately, but there's always next year.
Thank goodness for that.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're gonna have to request from Lauren, I think.
she might oblige.
No, for her to have you do it.
No, I know. That's what I mean.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. Making sure we're on the same page. All right.
Janine said, producer Janine says she wants to see you in a kilt, Greg.
Fun fact, I mean it probably doesn't fit anymore. I had it when I was a kid, but I do have one of those that's like a legit one.
You would look good in a kilt, Greg. I will say.
yeah.
You got
I don't know
stellar
if-
calves.
I don't know if good is the word, but you would look appropriate. I feel like the Irish,
I got
all
calves.
the Scottish men, the gingered Scottish men look.
I'm
like
man
that.
enough to say, Greg, you'd look damn good in a kilt.
He does.
Thank you. I
Sean,
appreciate that.
He does have good calves, dude. He sent us a picture recently.
Solid
something,
calves. Like,
and he had solid. I was like, Greg, look at those calves. Like that's the one thing that stood out in this picture. I was like, you got some
those are
calves.
kilt wearing. Those are kilt wearing calves.
No matter how much weight I lose or amount of gym time I get, I just have monster calves. I think it's just a genetic defect of some sort, but
It's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
yeah.
You got to step on the gas real quick in your car. Like you got the muscle for it. So.
That's exactly
or
where
if
my
you were
mind
a
went.
drummer. Or if you were a drummer. That's another.
True. Get on that kick pedal.
Anyway.
Yeah. But other than that, life is wonderful. Life is great.
Good.
Sean, how about you? When's the due date? Let's hear about Sean the Third.
Yeah, everything's good on my end, man. Got the baby's room pretty much all done, and we're ready to go. Got some lovely donations from a couple of you fine gentlemen. Everything's good, man. Nothing. We got about a month to go, give or take. Catherine's ready, beyond ready. She says the baby at night, whatever side she's trying to sleep on, like turns, like the baby turns to that side and just kind of sits on her bladder. So like oftentimes in the middle of the night, I'll wake up and she's just sitting up on the side of the bed, just trying to get him to move a little bit so she can go back to sleep. So I say, just God bless all of the childbearing women across this world, because it's just one of those things that us mere men will never be able to fully understand what that's like. But she's doing good. She's healthy.
A lot like a cold, Sean. Have you not heard?
What's that?
It's a lot like a cold.
It is.
I'm getting in trouble with our women listeners. No, but when Gabby had Lucy, Brian Beatty texted her congratulations or whatever, and then he goes, "Now you know what it feels like when Corey has a cold." And I thought it was hilarious.
That doesn't make any sense.
A man cold.
Basically saying, yeah.
No, I get the joke. It just doesn't make any sense.
It makes. How do you get it and it doesn't make sense?
Oh, excuse me.
Good point.
It's not funny.
There you go.
It's
That was not one of our good friend Brian's finest jokes.
How is that not funny?
It's on
What's
brand
not
for
funny?
Brian, though.
What's not funny about it? It's a joke on how men are overdramatic when they're sick, which I totally fucking am.
But see, I'm not though.
You don't even
Maybe
admit
that's
to
why
being
it's not
sick,
funny.
Sean.
Yeah,
You're like,
Sean's the one
I'm
that
okay.
dies in his house when he has COVID. Remember?
Yeah,
He's like, I'm fine, Bill.
Get away.
I'm fine. I'm like, Sean, I'm gonna come up there and
Tell the
drink.
paramedics to get the fuck out of my house.
Here's low key. So today, Grace had to be picked up early from camp because she had 102 fever, and it was like the end of the day. Anyways, that's kind of what I said
Stake
to
your
her.
claim.
And Catherine goes, "Should I keep I guess she's gonna have to miss gymnastics today." I was like, "Nah, give her some Tylenol, see how she feels, and take her to gymnastics." And she was like, "Catherine was like, Sean,
It's
she had 102 degree fever." I was like, "All right, that's fine."
The child is miserable.
But I was like, "Hey, make sure you tell them to get us a credit for her missing this week, for future stuff." But that's kind of where I net out at.
Love it.
I don't care, but everything's fine on my end. I will say this. I want to real quick before we get into the topic. I have a very, very good friend. Corey knows who it is. I won't say his name, obviously. He relapsed after many years of sobriety, and it's been like an absolute nightmare this last like 4 or 5 weeks with him, and just dealing with the delusion of him again, and like just it's been really rough. So I just want to like I don't really know what I want to say with that, except guys, I'm really grateful that we're all sober because the addiction is alive and real, and the devil is alive and real, and we all have known many, many people that have not made it, whether they haven't made it and they've died, or they just were sober and then they weren't, or they came back if they're lucky to get back. But like it's been a while since I've had someone super, super close with me. Like this was like one of my brothers, and we can talk about it offline if you guys want to know who it is, but he's a guy, one of my absolute brothers, whose wife is actually literally calling me right now. But it's been that bad. It's been really bad. So I don't know. I guess what I want to say is it makes the work that we all do that much more important. And let's just, not that any of us are, but let us never forget that, and let us try to instill that belief and that understanding in the men that we do work with, because it's been rough, man. He's starting to get into some psychosis stuff, and it's been bad.
Oh.
And he's actually a listener of this pod, so
Yeah, I was
eventually, hopefully, when he gets sober, he won't be
this.
upset that I just did that on this podcast, even though I didn't mention his name. But I hope that he makes it out of it and gets clear-headed enough to listen to this podcast. And if he wants to get mad, so be it. But I want him to know we love him, and the hand of recovery is there for him. And I just appreciate all you guys for the work you do, because it's this thing's real. So
well, on and not to keep beating that horse, and aside from him specifically, but man, how many people have we seen that put together years? It's so rare and hard for them to regain that.
Yep.
And it's
Yep.
not that it's impossible, because it's not, but it's
So shout out to all the sick and suffering out there. We love you, and we're praying for you, and we all know what it's like. We remember what it's like, or I guess that's the important thing. Let us never forget what it was like to be the sick and suffering. I guess there it is right there. So that being said, we got a topic tonight that, like, I'm not really totally sure any of us are super qualified, but at the same time, I say that in jest because all we can really share on is our own experience. And between the four of us, there's 42 years of sobriety, if I just did that math correct, which that's kind of cool if you think about that, guys, between the four of us.
Spiritually, I have like 60 years of sobriety.
So we do have some experience, but we want to talk about intimacy tonight. Intimacy in relationships. Yes, some sex stuff. Yes, some love stuff, but all around intimacy, how we show up in the relationships with our loved ones, how we can be intimate, not only with our significant others in that way, but also like with other family members and close friends, because intimacy is way more than just, getting her done kind of thing. Never mind. I won't say what I was about to say next, but it's way more than that. So I want to kick this off. I want to kind of just set the table, if you guys don't mind. And again, we're going to try to do this, we are going to do this tactfully. And I'm sure we'll make some jokes. Greg might not, but I'm sure we'll make some jokes. But in all seriousness, this is a very important topic for anyone in recovery, especially if you're new or like becoming, in your early, weeks, months, and years of sobriety. Really, though, no matter how long we've been sober, and it's something that we all have to deal with. And as men in recovery, we've all had to deal with this, and just kind of that whole idea of what a man should be for the women in our lives, and when it comes to intimate settings. And there's a lot of misnomers out there, misconceptions, and just really just false beliefs and false ideas. So we're going to try to share some of our own experience tonight. Not everyone who listens may agree with it, but that's okay. You don't have to. Hell, we may not even agree with each other on this pod, which again is totally fine. And that actually is kind of what we're here for as well. So I just want to set the table with, if you would have asked me 14 years ago, or even 12 or 13 years ago, what intimacy actually is, I would have told you it's like, oh, it's definitely like making love or having sex or something of, that nature. And what I found is it's really not. That's actually a very, 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 very small part of it. And you can be intimate and have intimacy with many other people. So just real quick, um, just the definition of it: a feeling of closeness and connectedness in interpersonal relationships, encompassing emotional, physical, and other forms of connection. It's about sharing thoughts, feelings, and experiences, fostering trust and mutual vulnerability. While often associated with romantic relationships and sexual intimacy, it really extends to all types of people in our lives, and it goes far beyond just the physical, like that, kind of like we said. And the moment that, not the moment, but when it was really taught to me what it truly meant, it was my mentor talking to me about potentially the day when he was telling me a story about when his, I think, mother, or no, his father got really old, and he didn't have the greatest relationship with his father. But years and years later, like, he was there to take care of his father, and his father, he couldn't do certain things for himself, like bathing himself. He needed help with the bathroom and just changing of clothes and all that stuff. And that was when my mentor, shout out to Papa Ron, talked about how he truly became, like, learned what intimacy actually was, right? Like doing something in that sense for someone, completely selfless, completely, with no like need or want of anything in return, but just truly being there for someone that he loves, no matter how rough or rocky the relationship had once been. So I kind of set the table with that. Like, of course, we're going to talk about with our significant others tonight, and our wives and our fiancés and girlfriends and stuff. But I think it's important to note that intimacy extends far beyond that. So, um, on the spreadsheet, I think I had Bill going next. If that's okay, Bill, or no? Did I not have it? Hold on. Who do I have?
Which one of you wants to go next? Hint, not me.
Who do I have next? Let's see. It really can be anybody, but I technically
Good
did
Bill.
have Bill next. But if Greg or Corey wants to take something and get it kicked off, we can. Either way.
Who brought the topic up? I thought it was Corey.
It was all of us.
All right, I was the last one to say yeah, but okay. So let me fire it in first. I don't know, intimacy. This is it's a tough one, but it's honestly, I think it's the privilege of learning to be intimate with myself that has allowed me to be intimate in life with people in general. And I also, like you were saying, Sean, I don't think it necessarily pertains to, man to woman. There's intimate relations that we have in recovery with a sponsee or a trusted, brother all the time, right? The trip to the mountain was intimate in itself. I mean,
Yep.
that was
Yeah.
probably my first true intimate experience with men, And honestly, before that, I don't think I had many real opportunities, even on the other side of the aisle, with a woman to really understand or see them for who they really were. And, as I've grown over time, even whether it be with my daughter or with loved ones, etc., when you really know is when you see somebody open up, and if it's an adult, like, you kind of see that inner child in them, and they put the defenses down. And how rare is that, to be able to have a human experience when everything in the matrix that we've been taught is to shield, defend, and guard, and to hold within the castle walls our personality. But to me, the intimate relations in life are the ones where we stop thinking about the circus, and we're like directly looking at each other or talking to each other and living in the moment. This past weekend, I had a lot of just time where I didn't think about Florida at all.
Yeah.
And pretty much any of these trips I've been on, those are good opportunities to do it. But I would say there are opportunities to do that every day. And sometimes it's for me, it's with employees. You know, it could be anything. Sometimes you have to be an armchair therapist in that world as well, and those are intimate opportunities. I think intimacy is a privilege between two people where one person is opening up to the other. So I don't know if you guys were trying to lean more into a certain channel of that, but because I think I'm keeping that rather broad. But when I think of the term, like that's more or less how I look at it.
Well, I do want to, after we go around once, I do kind of want to go around again and talk specifically about like sex and physical relationships in recovery, because I do think it has a place and it's important. But I kind of first wanted to, you that was perfect, Bill. I kind of first wanted to just get kind of our thoughts together and discuss what intimacy actually is a little bit. So that was very good. Corey, you're next.
That okay, that's fine. That's kind of where I'm taking it, Sean, is
Yeah, guys, wherever you want. Go ahead.
not necessarily sex, but like whenever we started talking about this topic, first off, this topic was born out of inappropriate jokes over the past several weeks, right
Yes.
before we started recording, just so
I think it was producer Janine's idea originally, actually. She said, you guys should do an episode on this, and that, because like how many people in early sobriety and like that have to deal with this. And it's very true.
Exactly. And when I think about, so I guess with this topic, I was thinking about like, relationships with the opposite sex before and after getting sober, and kind of what those two things look like. Now, you guys might be able to provide more on that, because you guys were old farts when you got sober, and I was just a young buck. But I'm just kidding. But I did get sober at 19, which was, you know what I mean? Like there was only so many years there. Like I had a couple serious. Well, no. All right, I'm doing that thing again. I had like one serious girlfriend like for a few years throughout high school, and then a few other flings or whatever. But
Did she know you were her girlfriend or her boyfriend?
That one did, yeah.
Okay.
That one did, yeah. And that was a kind of unique relationship, maybe not. Just because like it started before my addiction took off and ended soon after I was off to the races, right? Like you'd imagine. And it was as serious as a high school relationship could get, which is not extremely serious in hindsight, but at the time, she was my everything. I was going to marry her. We were going to live forever and die together, blah, 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 whatever. You couldn't have told me any different. But I feel like for me, like there was a combination of being like a selfish, self-centered drug addict and a combination of just being a teenager that was growing up that made me absolutely suck when it came to being a partner. And, like some of that, I don't even know how much detail I'll go into, but like some of that when I got sober absolutely had to die. Like some things, some ideas of mine, some behaviors of mine in relationships had to die immediately. And like, that's one thing I thank God for. Because certain ways I acted in that relationship, I've never acted again, believe it or not. And I've made a whole bunch of other mistakes and stuff like that. But there's just certain things that there's certain mistakes I never wanted to make again. And for instance, like I don't say it to like boast or anything. It'd be a weird ass flex if I did boast about this, but I've never called Gabby a name in a fight. I'm not saying that when she's walked away, I haven't muttered shit under my breath, but like like something about being in that previous relationship throughout high school and the way I acted after getting sober and like realizing like the way of life that I needed to live and honestly maybe just a little bit blessed by God too that like I had a willingness to change that much. Like I don't want to call names in arguments and stuff. Like it's one thing if I get called a name, but I'd rather not. But I won't reciprocate that. You know what I mean? And Gabby's good about that. I'm not saying anything about that.
I like that.
It's just like it's like the ultimate disrespect. I feel like you gotta truly not respect somebody, in a relationship to start calling names in arguments. I think that's the way I feel. So I won't make that mistake. But I'll make a bunch of other mistakes and stuff like that. I'm not saying anything, but so anyway, like I learned that from the past and everything. And but like I said, like I had two things going on. I had me growing up and I had me being a drug addict. And I really today don't know which was which, but I know that like I don't want my current relationships to resemble that relationship at all, right? Or my my marriage now, but or whatever. But like something I want to throw it out there before we keep going around too. I guess a question for you guys, like, what about confidence? I know we brought that up too at some point in the past couple weeks off the air. Did you guys? I'm just throwing this out there for you to say or not say whenever you guys talk. Did you guys have any like confidence issues in sobriety, like with women or what, approaching women or whatever? Like, was there like a hey, I haven't talked to a girl sober in forever. Like, what's that going to be like? Or what? Or did you just go to Pound Town? What happened? That's what I want to know.
I 100% had confidence issues, so much to the point where a good friend of mine, Mike R, had to essentially bribe me to buy my breakfast just so I would go talk to a hostess at a diner we were at one morning, who gave me her number. I thought it was the fake number because I tried calling it a few times and it was fake. And then like 3 months later, I came across it in my phone. And at this point, I thought it was fake, whatever. She took pity on me. I called it. She answered. And when I started to explain who I was, she hung up the phone on me.
No.
But I got free
Perfect.
breakfast.
Well, that's fine.
But yeah, absolutely.
I still remain delusionally confident.
All the time you did?
From before till now. Yeah.
I can vouch for that. He was
Solidly through.
delusionally confident back then. Nobody was giving him the time of day, but he thought they were.
No, I was getting the time.
Dude,
too much time. That's the thing is, man, listen, nobody ever listens to it's like a drop equivalent of a drop of water in the ocean. But if I could really tell somebody something, it would be just be careful, in early recovery, because number one, someone who's attracted to you at that state of your life when you're living in a halfway house is not the woman of your dreams. That's number one. And number two, you don't clearly know even what you like. Like literally, you're I don't know. For me, everything from my taste in food and everything has changed. And number three is like you're not able to. You just got to take your time. That's all I'm gonna say. You just the more you can wait that out, the better. Because yeah, go ahead. And I know your story was different, but it's like that is the only story I know in that scenario, which is like it was early and worked out.
Which also wasn't without its struggles, right? You guys obviously,
I didn't struggle at all, Sean.
Well, it's a good situation now, and that says a lot. So
no, I struggled. I felt, to your point, Bill, I fell in love in detox briefly. Because it was day 2 of sobriety and she talked to me for about 5 minutes and I was like, oh my God. And we watched the movie together and it was like, this is what was supposed to happen. That, like, God put me here for this girl.
I'm not joking. I would target the ones that like I knew there were more chicks at. Like, it was like that, bro. Like
there were more girls at.
Yeah, like I would like try to figure that out. And so
it only makes
two different approaches there, I guess. Yeah.
It's true. But I fell in love, I thought, and I pursued a little bit, but again, I had zero confidence, but I like tried to like sneak in through the friend zone, which is like ridiculous. And thank God that did not work out, because she went off the rails, and I probably would have been where most people are when they fall in love in detox or sober living or whatever the fuck, like, or treatment in general. But yeah, that was a bad situation.
Greg, what about you? Anything we've talked about so far? The confidence thing, what about it?
Well, to backtrack, I've had many years of practice of being intimate with myself, so there's no issues there. Everything's working well. All the pipes are everything's moving great. But
Strong calves and strong wrists, baby.
that's right, baby. That's right.
We call that infrastructure, personal infrastructure.
Yes, personal infrastructure.
Doing a swell job there.
Well job.
No, man. I think that it's a great topic. I think that yes, we differentiate between, obviously, there's plenty of stuff to be talked about as far as recovery and sex and all that kind of stuff. But what it means to be intimate, and certainly, I think for myself, in my life of sobriety, anyways, like that's gone through changes here and there, and like certainly, like I always harken back to when I moved back to Ohio, and I really took some time. I didn't want to like jump into another relationship. I had a very, very taxing one in my later days in Florida. Something that a relationship that took a lot out of me, and I made a lot of mistakes in, and so did the other person as well. So I think that I really took some time to be myself, to figure out who I was all over again, and when the difference pops up between like the isolation and the solitude, when isolation becomes solitude, and you're fully comfortable with who you are and what you're about, and yourself more, I think that you are at your most open to be intimate with other people, right? And that's not just physical intimacy, of course, but obviously what you guys are talking about, the opening up of your soul, if you will, to another person or to multiple people. Pretty early on in sobriety, I didn't have a problem doing that with certainly the guys, and a couple of our other close friends. I've always felt pretty comfortable being like upfront and honest with the guys, and certainly in the settings that we were going to, up in the mountain and stuff like that, where it was just like, yeah, I can be totally myself, not put on a front for any of these dudes. We're all just homies having fun on a trip, and some of us are being open and shedding tears, and talking about some of our deepest, darkest shit, and nobody's judging anybody. So that's one of those situations where it's very, very easy to be open and confident and intimate in that kind of setting. Bringing it back to the real world then, and applying it, and certainly with other people, and certainly in relationships, of course. It took me some time, and certainly with my current relationship with my fiance, like she'll be the first person to tell you, like, it took him forever to open up and tell me that he loved me and stuff like that. And the truth of the matter is like I was feeling those feelings for a while, but I didn't want to screw it up again. There was a lot on the line this time. It wasn't just me. It wasn't just her. There's a child involved in the situation, things like that. So it was like me, I wanted to take that time to really make sure like I was doing things right, and being the right person that both of them needed, which is, hopefully the ideal that I strive towards is a guy that's understanding, caring, the leader of the household, the guy that can be, stern about what needs to happen, at the same time be soft when I need to, right? And loving and caring and understanding, right? And a lot of times, like, that's tough. You work a 9-10 hour day, you drive an hour home in the middle of rush hour traffic, and I know Corey doesn't know what that's like much anymore, but yeah, the fact of the matter is sometimes, like, I come home and I'm just like, I'm beat, man. I'm dog ass tired, and like I just want to go be by myself, but like I don't. I want to. This is what I signed up for, right? And so that's what I got to do within the house. But it's a learning, definitely a learning curve, and we're going through it, man. But but those are the ideals that I strive towards, man, and just to always be open and honest with her, with her son, and try and if I open that up within the household, then hopefully it gets returned back.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think like the easiest and most like glaring defect I had when I was not sober in relationships was I wasn't faithful, right? I wasn't faithful. You couldn't pin me down. You know what I mean? Like I just kind of ran amok. I really didn't have too many girlfriends. I had a couple, but they were over before they started. Like they was so toxic, and usually they were using drugs as well or drink, whatever the case was. So that was like the biggest thing. And learning that in sobriety wasn't difficult. Like I already knew that being faithful and being loyal to the one you're with is like the most important thing in a relationship. I kind of already fundamentally knew that, but I kind of had to be retaught that when I got sober. And luckily it came up like in some of my sex inventory and just other work through the recovery process of getting sober. Like a lot of that stuff came up in my defects, and it wasn't difficult to see. But I think that's like I often tell people my four biggest character defects when I got sober were I couldn't stop drinking, I couldn't stop getting high, I couldn't stop shoplifting or stealing really, and then infidelity, right? I wasn't loyal. Those are like my four biggest character defects. We don't always look at those as character defects, but they really are, right? God removed those things. God removed my urge to get high and use drugs. He removed my urge to shoplift or steal things that weren't mine, and he removed my urge to be unfaithful. You know what I mean? Like be unfaithful, and I really started to learn that in the beginning. But what I will say is, like Greg, to your point, dude, I was multiple years sober, and I was dating a girl, and it wasn't my first like monogamous relationship in sobriety. It was actually my third, and it was actually uh the girl that I was dating like before I met my lovely wife Catherine, and we were together for like 6 months, and I was an emotion. I was closed off emotionally. Like there was that wall that Trump's been wanting to build. That thing was up for a long time. And here's the crazy part. I knew it. I could see it. I could feel it. I could even acknowledge that it was up, but I couldn't do anything about it. Like I just was not ready to be vulnerable in that sense. So I think that was one of the biggest things is I became willing to be vulnerable. I became willing to get hurt. I
Mhm.
became willing to have the pain of maybe loving and then lost or lose, whatever the case may be. But I also opened myself up to like all the wonderful and the good things that a relationship can bring. And obviously I met, Catherine, and the rest is kind of history for that. We've been together 10 years, married for 7 plus. And but here's the big deal. I used to throw the word love around to girls all the time before I got sober to get what I wanted. And I know that's not uncommon. We hear that a lot, but I did. I was one of those scumbags that I would tell you anything you wanted to hear so that I could get laid, right? Um, or in some cases, just get your money to buy drugs or alcohol, right? Whatever I could do to get what I wanted. And I even I thought once I was in love before I met Catherine with a girl. It turned out I wasn't. And the reason I say that is because when I met Catherine, it wasn't love at first sight in the sense of like, oh my God, it was love at first sight. There was an unbelievable attraction. There was a physical attraction, an emotional and mental attraction. There were the butterflies. There was everything that came with previous relationships early on. But I learned how to fall in love with Catherine. And I don't know if that was like all Catherine's doing because of the wonderful person she was, or like probably more like God's doing, right? Like I was finally ready to take that next step and learn that lesson, or just a combination of both. But I remember I learned how to fall in love. Like it was a process of learning that, and I mean that in the best possible way because it truly was a different feeling with Catherine than I had ever had with any other girl, and that's how I knew the other ones were false and weren't real, and the one with Catherine was. So
Where do you categorize the delayed gratification of that? And because I watched that kind of unfold, and I saw you express, which even normal whatever, outside people wouldn't do, which was expressing a certain compartmentalizing certain things and waiting for certain markers and taking a very patient time when before you're even really courting Catherine, right? But I would say that, like, where do you gauge that on the importantness? Because I think 99.9% are not going to do that. But I also look at your story as more on the fairy, the perfect story
for sure.
of like a recovery relationship, right? So how do you think that came into play, and do you think that is why that ended up being so good, or that's how you knew you were in love with this person, you were willing to be that patient?
So you mean like how things progressed in it?
Yeah, I remember you telling me, like, I'm going to wait, I'm going to wait a solid period of time before I even go on a date, or this or that. Yeah.
So here's how it was. Number one, Catherine was approaching her first year of sobriety. So that was important to me, for her not to be brand new in the program, right? We talk about that. We mentioned it earlier, but here's the thing, plain and simple. And it wasn't so much planned as it just kind of happened this way. And we both kind of were on board with this, but we made a commitment to each other that when we did start, having physical relations, we were only going to spend the night at each other's house, whether it was hers at mine at hers, or only twice a week. Like there were certain consistent things we did.
And you think there's a huge payoff in that, correct?
I thought first off, I had never
Yeah.
done anything like that before. It was like, week 2, like she's living with me or I'm living with her. I see you every day. It's constantly up each other's ass. With this, there was real separation. And the biggest thing was, if it was Tuesday and I knew I was spending the night on Friday, it was a buildup in a positive way.
Right.
It made me look forward to something, and it gave some separation so that we could both go about our programs of recovery, our professional lives, our social lives, without being constantly joined at the hip. So that was a big thing. That was a huge marker in the beginning.
Yeah, and I respect that, because I think that the majority of people, not even in recovery, but I mean, me to this day with certain things, like maybe albeit sweets or something, but I really struggle with discipline on delayed gratification. Now I've become a lot better with that over time, but I do think that is very important when structuring those kind of things, because I think that people in recovery have a tendency to jump, and I did it, and I, I'm not going to get into all the pros and cons, because I'm grateful for every relation I had, because it taught me to be who I am today. But I think that the lesson is, don't jump fully in, because it's that feeling of drowning is the worst when you're in something isn't working. Now you've overcommitted yourself,
Right.
and things aren't going well, because I've seen that happen a lot. So
For sure.
And by going slow, you add some mystery. Know what I mean? If you do everything right away, there's no mystery and there's no stuff like that. So
Well,
yeah,
I was
there's a lot
say,
to that. Yep.
Go like it was much the same with Lauren and I, and that's kind of like part of like my behavior that I wanted to change too. It was nice and refreshing to finally be dating someone that did not need me, right? Not that I was very much like providing anything before that, but she truly did not need me. She wanted me in her life, right? But for the first, well, but no, for the first like year and a half, really, we were pretty much resigned to the weekends. She works, I work. We lived at the time like 35-40 minutes away from each other, so it was pretty much like just the weekends. And in the very beginning, for the first 6 months or so, like I wasn't allowed to meet her son yet, not that she was scared that I was a drug addict and I was going to shoot up in front of her son or anything like that. But more so, it was just, it was healthy
gratification, or like the response. Yeah.
But it was healthy boundaries on her part. Like she was 100%. I do not bring new men around my son, and
bro, that is so good on her.
I would never consider someone who didn't do that, by the way, these days.
No, I respect the living hell out of her for it, because, she values him and his upbringing, and not giving him mixed signals and stuff like that, over the instant gratification of having your new boyfriend over, right? So yeah, so on the weekends where he was here, like we didn't hang out. We talked a lot on the phone, and that was that. But it paid off in the long run, because those times, not to say that our time together now isn't special, of course it is, but those little weekends together were like awesome, man. It was again something to look forward to. I was excited about getting in the car and coming over or whatever, so and to just get to do things, whether it was spending time or we had a cool little weekend planned or whatever. But I certainly have, again, like Sean was saying, like I've made that mistake a lot of times before, especially in early sobriety, where you're shacked up with them 2 weeks in, or I've certainly made the mistake of, well, I'm not going to take anything serious, so I'm just gonna, I'll talk to this girl and I'll talk to that girl, but I'll be upfront and honest with them that I'm not looking for anything serious, and I'll hide behind that bullshit justification in my head, not realizing that I'm hurting people in the process, and not going in with it with the intention to hurt anybody, but my own selfishness is causing pain for other people, So
I will say that there is a point, like for me, where becoming reintroduced to that I definitely was out there and expressing that openly. I'm not going to sit here and act like, I caused all this pain, but a lot of times things get complex quick, But I'm not also going to say that I was really like before I met my girl, I was really enjoying being single, like I was thoroughly enjoying my life by myself or whatever. And then I like have like date night on the weekends or whatever. And like I was perfectly comfortable with that too. And I'll tell this to people and I tell people that good friends this is, if you're ever faced with that and you really know who you are, like let's say you're not early in recovery or you're normal or whatever, I wrote a very stringent list of what I wanted in a relationship, and believe it or not, it showed up, but in the interim of that, I also knew what I didn't want, but I had never been able to be clear-minded, sober-minded, and in that situation. So I remember like going out and just going on a date and just being so intrigued by hearing like a new story, like just refreshed by hearing it. It wasn't a sexual thing. It was just like it was just interesting to me, like just to meet different people from different walks of life and this and that. I found it genuinely enjoyable. Now I'm not going to say all the other stuff, but there was a side of it that was.
Well, Bill, I think you bring up a great point. You said it. You were comfortable and at peace with being by yourself, right? We're never alone because we have God, and obviously we're fortunate. We have our fellowship of brothers and sisters in recovery, but you got comfortable being by yourself, being alone. You didn't have to have the girl on the arm. That we all have displayed that have to have itness over the years at certain points. And it's kind of like, well, once we're comfortable and at peace with that, then God kind of says, okay, now you're ready. Now I place you in the path of someone who is worthy of your love and affection, and and vice versa, right? I think that's
I borderline got goosebumps 100% because it was almost just it was, and it's not a knock. It's just saying like I realized who I was,
right?
Like I fully saw like who I was, and that was cool because I was dictated around by, no matter how I want to, if I'm being realistic with myself, I was dictated around by other people's opinions and not really looking at things like through my lens. So then I spent some time developing my lens. Like, what do I like to do? I used to go down like downtown Stewart or Jupiter, like by myself and just, you know what I mean? And just do whatever because it was just fun. And people would check in on me and I'd be like, I'm good. Like I feel good. And it was kind of like, I'm sure some people got that kind of like, is this for real? But I genuinely felt good, and I still, I just felt good in myself.
It's what I was talking about earlier. Like when that's what I mean when I say like that solitude, like that trueness. Like there's nothing left in here that I need to fill with something out here. You
Outside.
know, it's I'm good. You know, and I'm enjoying life. You know, and that's not dictated by another person. You know,
Right.
When the prayer finally becomes right, because I thought, oh, I have to have a girlfriend who's in recovery. Like I have to because I'm in recovery and she has to be in recovery. And then, one or two of those don't work out. Then it's like, oh, well, no, I definitely need like a normal girl, like a non-alcoholic.
Can't be in recovery.
You know,
Yeah.
And then and then finally the prayer just became, okay, God, whatever you see fit. I'm on board for like
Amen.
you have my life in your hands. And that's truly when I think that it starts to change and happen and all that stuff, So Corey, you look like you're in thoughtful contemplation over there.
I agree.
I'm afraid to inquire, but go ahead.
Spit it out.
Just learning how to be in a relationship, guys.
Well, apparently you're doing a great job because
No, I'm listening to you guys and I'm learning.
yeah.
No, the only thing I'm thinking about real quick is like this has all been really good stuff, and I appreciate everything you guys are saying, and I agree with it. Gabby and I did almost everything wrong.
Yeah.
In
That's fun.
In not people specifically, but like the general thing that we're taught when we enter recovery, we pretty much did most of it wrong. We did a few things completely right, I think, and it saved us, and that was same thing I tell people, like, and we've talked about relationships and early sobriety before on this podcast. And Gabby and I were both pretty early when we got together. And it is generally a mistake that people are making when they do that. What I like to tell people is like, listen, if you're gonna go do what you're gonna do, like you shouldn't, but you should give yourself time to grow. And I'm in line with all those opinions, but I'm like, look, if you're gonna do it, you better just do this shit first, man. You better do the spirituality stuff first, this program, this, hit your recovery groups first. Like the girl or the guy is always gonna be there. Like if not that one, they weren't the one, and then there's gonna be another. Like that stuff's always there. Just go do this first, then go on your date, whatever. You know what I mean? Because I think for the most part, if I look back, that's the only thing Gabby and I did kind of right was. We were getting together at a time that we probably shouldn't have been. If you had asked my mentor at the time, actually, to be honest, he didn't want to hear about it when I told him that I met another girl. He was like, I don't want to talk about it. And I was like, all right, who the fuck am I supposed to talk to then?
When he called me.
But eventually I called Sean, and to be honest, he straight up was like, yeah, I wouldn't have told you guys to get together back then either. So nobody was of the opinion that like, oh yeah, you guys are like the perfect couple. This is great. You guys should go do this. Nobody said that. However, we did, and that was that. But like I said, like the only thing I think that we did right is we usually left each other's recoveries alone.
Right.
We each did our separate thing as far as that went. We didn't get in each other's way. Like it wasn't like.
And what are some bullet points of what that was like early?
Well, it's a lot of the stuff that we didn't do. It's like, okay, so she's going to meet her mentor. I'm not sitting there and being like, oh, but I thought we would go to the beach together or something. Okay, go fucking meet your mentor and do what you got to do. I'll do what I got to do, and then later on maybe we'll hang out or something, stuff like that. Now,
didn't you have different groups as well, right?
We had went to different groups. Like she had her people, I had my people. We had, a lot of the same people eventually, but actually that kind of happened later on.
Right. Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Early on, and we kind of took it from Sean and Catherine. Like we were way better at it back then than we are today, but meditated together, prayed together, that kind of stuff. We looked to people like Sean and Catherine that had healthy relationships. Now I say that, and I want to say this real quick. There came a day when I realized, and I'm not trying to, Sean, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to throw you up on that pedestal that you don't like, but you guys are an example of a healthy relationship that's in recovery, spiritually based. But there came a day where I had to be like, hey, we're not going to be fucking Sean and Catherine. Like, you're not going to be Catherine. I'm not going to be Sean. That's just not who we are as people. Like
Let's
They're-
be Corey and Gabby.
Yeah,
Well,
let's be Corey and
also
Gabby,
though,
right?
I think that Corey, I think that your message there is more hits a wider net than Sean's, because
Right.
Sean's is like the guy with 30 years, and you hear him and you're like, what in the hell? Like I'm never gonna relate, because it's such a good, and this isn't a compliment of way.
No,
And
I get
Sean
it. I
knows
get it.
that. And yours is kind of more realistically what most people are going through. So
Well, some people
never lose
some
that.
People, some people in recovery will have you convinced that if you don't do it like this, if you don't do it with this outline, like you both have to have a year, you both have to do this, that, whatever the parameters are. Some people will straight up try to convince you like you're going to drink again. And that is not fact. Now, there's pitfalls, and we could have a whole episode of all the pitfalls Gabby and I shared in because of not allowing each other to
that would
grow
be a
in
fun
certain
episode.
aspects.
And as rare as Sean's
gonna happen.
situation like yours is just as rare for the outcome to actually work. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
let's preface with that as well, because
But we do, like, I got to play both sides of the coin, because we had a conversation recently where we identified things from years ago that we thought we kind of concluded with, you know what, maybe we didn't resolve that, years ago. So it ain't perfect, but I'm sober, she's sober, and not that we like hang our hats on that at the end of the day and go, oh well, we're sober, everything's fine, because that's not. There's more of an ideal to achieve, but it is still the foundation of our lives. So we have 2 beautiful children, we're married, and we have a good life together. So I don't know, it ain't one size fits all for sure, I don't think, but there are things that we can do in our relationships to avoid misery and to achieve contentment and happiness. So
Very good, Corey. Anybody want to say anything as we wrap up?
Corey, we'll let you know how Eagles camp goes this week. Us 3 are heading up there. We'll check in with you.
that's cool, guys. I'm glad. I'm so happy for you. I'll be like, where the fuck did they go?
Our producer Janine says she tells her husband she loves him, but when they're in a fight, she'll tell him that she doesn't like him. And I think that's like simple and funny, but like she meant it in a joke, but it's actually very true. Like, that's okay too in relationships, because you are going to have the ups and the downs.
Yeah, one thing I was going to say, because I like what Corey said earlier about like we don't call each other names, and
that's
like,
a great one.
One thing we don't do, we don't go to bed angry. Like there's certain times where it's like, okay, maybe we need to revisit this argument later or whatever, but we realize that when we do argue, it is coming from a place of love and passion and not hate and disgust, but it's like we don't go to bed angry. There's times I've stayed up until 3 o'clock in the morning, just like, we're going to talk about this until we're good. And then,
see,
Sean,
I'm gonna tell you. So I actually have a different experience with that, Greg, and that's not because I've subscribed to that for years and years too. And for the most part, Catherine and I know real quick, Catherine and I do the same thing. We like to talk it out, but I have found that when there is that argument or that issue that you just she's not seeing it my way, I'm not seeing it her way, my way is right. Going to sleep and waking up fresh the next morning, almost always my desire to reconcile is stronger in the morning after I've slept it off. And so,
but let's add something real quick, because there's context, because he's in a newer relationship. That's like the 5-year, because newer in the relationship,
Maybe.
you might want to be more engaged. Like, hey, I'm not quitting on you. I'm gonna let you know before we go to bed.
Yeah.
And then once you really get to know each other, like Sean, you're right, because down the road, it's like, I need to just chill for a sec.
Right.
We'll talk later.
Take a step back.
Yeah. Let me just breathe for a minute,
Yeah.
So there's there's context to where you are on the timeline too.
And that's the beautiful thing about it, is there is no one size fits all in any of this stuff. And here, I'll say this in closing, because we hear all the time, we can't give advice on relation. We're not here. And you know what? Yes, I'm not here to give unsolicited advice. I'm not here to give advice that is outside of my experience, right? I got 14 fucking effing years of experience.
Can't cuss on here, Sean.
I almost did. I caught myself. I got 14 years of experience. You guys have 9, 10 plus. We have our experience. That is the only thing we are really supposed to share with people is our experience. So for all those people that say we can't, go to hell.
That's in a recovery group. We can do whatever the fuck we want on this thing.
And when my girl tells me I should apologize, I say, don't tell me what to do.
I'll gladly sleep on the couch, guys. I don't know what the hell.
Good
and
stuff,
then I'm
guys.
sleeping on the couch too. All right.
And for anyone new in recovery that isn't sure if everything's going to work properly once you get back in the sack, everything works fine.
Yep.
So
That's
we're all
very
good.
true.
You don't have to worry.
Trust
Give
me.
yourself a little
Do
time.
it, Greg. Trust me. Everything works well down there.
Yes, it does.
And if it doesn't, you haven't been relieved of the obsession yet. And
Probably. There's
Or
still
you-
more
or you need
spiritual
to
work
go-
to be done.
Or you need a hymns prescription.
Yeah.
There's another plug.
Oh, they need to send us some money for that one.
And on that note, shout out to our listeners. Please like, follow, share on all socials at Trudge Report Pod. Email us, trudgereportpod@yahoo.com. Send in your mailbag requests to Corey specifically. If you have questions, comments to any of these handles, remember, we are here if anyone wants to talk about recovery and our experiences, or if you are struggling with some form of addiction. Great topic tonight. We could go much deeper and broach this again. We will hopefully as the future goes on. But for tonight, we say good night, God bless, and may you trudge the road of happy destiny. We will see you next week.